in the campaign. At the time, Senator Sessions says that calling that sexual assault was a stretch. Here's what he had to say today during the hearing about that.
Is grabbing a woman by her genitals without consent, is that sexual assault?
Clearly, it would be.
Thank you. If a sitting president or any other high federal official was accused of committing what the president-elect described in a context in which it could be federally prosecuted, would you be able to prosecute and investigate?
The president is subject to certain lawful restrictions, and they would be required to be applied by the appropriate law enforcement official.
And he sought to confront head-on allegations of racism in his opening statement. And he talked about how he would be as Attorney General, what he would prosecute and what he wouldn't prosecute.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give?
Attorney General nominee Jeff Sessions testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee, vowing to recuse himself from any further investigations related to Hillary Clinton.
Some have expressed concern about whether you can approach the Clinton matter impartially in both fact and appearance. How do you plan to address those concerns?
I believe the proper thing for me to do would be to recuse myself from any questions involving those kind of investigations that involve Secretary Clinton that were raised during the campaign, or could be otherwise connected to it.
Sessions also confronted accusations he's a racist, something that derailed his confirmation hearings for a judgeship before the same committee in 1986.
It was very painful. I didn't know how to respond and didn't respond very well. I hope my tenure in this body has shown you that the caricature that was created of me was not accurate.
The hearing periodically interrupted by protesters who oppose his confirmation. And things got tense when Democratic Senator Al Franken accused Sessions of distorting his record.
So tell me, did you file 20 or 30 desegregation cases, or is it some other number?
The records don't show that there were 20 or 30 actually filed cases. So
what do you think would have caused you to say
I don't know.
that you filed 20 or 30 desegregation?
Well, we had cases going throughout my district, and some of them were started before I came and continued after I left.
Sessions also weighed in on President-elect Donald Trump's highly controversial early campaign promise to ban all Muslims from entering the United States.
Would you support a law that says you can't come to America because you're a Muslim?
No.
Sessions' colleagues also pressed him on the issue of waterboarding. Does
waterboarding constitute torture?
Well, there was a dispute about that when we had the torture definition in our law. The Department of Justice memorandum concluded it did not necessarily prohibit that, but Congress has taken an action now that makes it absolutely improper and illegal to use waterboarding.
And Senator Sessions was also asked about the Russian hack and whether he accepts the intelligence community's findings that Russians hacked the election during the election, and the intent was to hurt Hillary Clinton and help Donald Trump. He says he couldn't really answer. He hasn't really studied it. And then when further pressed by Senator Graham, he says that he has no reason not to accept the FBI and intelligence community's findings.
In general, Pamela, I think it's fair to say that the senators, as they tend to be, were rather deferential. There were moments, as you point out, of some real challenging of Senator Sessions. You saw the one, you noted the one in your piece with Senator Al Franken, who's one of only a couple non-lawyers on the committee, talking about whether or not he inflated his role in some school desegregation prosecutions. But then also there was this issue of what to do about the so-called dreamers, these individuals who were brought to this country illegally when they were children through no fault of their own, given some sort of temporary legal standing by President Obama. And Senator Dick Durbin really it made it very clear that he so strongly disagreed with Senator Sessions on this issue. It sounded to me as though that was not a vote he was going to get.
I agree. And not only on that issue, but also when it comes to clemency. We know that the two worked on a bill together to reduce sentences for inmates who were convicted for crack cocaine. They reduced the sentences. And then, of course, the issue of clemency came up later on, and that's been a big initiative under President Obama, granting petitions, clemency petitions for some of these inmates. And it came up during the hearing today with Senator Durbin, and Senator Sessions basically said, I understand your point. It's an honorable debate, but that's not something that he is looking to adopt. So I think that also. And then you saw with Senator Leahy, the issue come up of the hate crimes legislation and why he didn't vote to expand it to protect gays and lesbians. And that was another sort of contentious part of the hearing today, if you want to call it that. And Senator Sessions defended himself, saying he was focused on another provision under that legislation about tribal courts. He didn't really address the fact that he didn't get on board to expand those protections to gays and lesbians. So there were some contentious parts. I mean, this is an unusual situation where you have a sitting senator going in front of a committee that he was once on.
Yeah.
Not long ago.